once upon a time, there was a king. A king. And the king decided that it was enough of people just sitting around and watching Netflix and playing strange games. It's about time that people started using their brains, like him. About time that people started using their wit, intelligence and charm, like him. And so the king called before him 3 of his subjects. He called before him the nobleman. He called before him the innkeeper. Right, mate, with you in a minute. And he called before him the humble cobbler. Hello? And the king said, I have 3 questions for you. If you can answer these 3 questions correctly, I shall allow you 10 years free rent. Answer these questions incorrectly, I'll kick you out on your ear, all right? Good. Here are the 3 questions. What is the fattest thing in the world? What is the swiftest thing in the world? And what is the dearest thing in the world? Answer these 3 questions correctly and I shall allow you 10 years free rent. Incorrectly, you're out on your ear. You have 1 week. So the innkeeper and the nobleman run around the entire week trying to find out the answers to these questions while the innkeeper spends the entire week packing. And his daughter comes upon him and she says, Father, why are you packing? Oh, well, the king he's asked me these 3 questions and I don't know the answer to them and now he's going to kick us out. But Father, what are these 3 questions? Well, I can't say I remember. I've got them written down here, not that I know how to read. Here, you take a look. What is the fattest thing in the world, the swiftest thing in the world, and the dearest thing in the world? Well, Father, that's easy. And so a week goes by, and the 3 subjects are brought before the king and all the courtiers watching on Zoom. And the king, he says, all right, then let's have your answers. And of course, the first person to answer in order of rank is the nobleman. And the nobleman, he says, of course, the fattest thing in the world is, of course, the royal pig. And of course, the swiftest thing in the world, is the royal horse. And of course, I'm sure I speak for everybody when I say that the dearest thing in the world is your royal self. Nope. Out. Of course, the next person to come along is the innkeeper, and the innkeeper, he's had kind of a difficult time, a lot of drinking, a lot of people needing to get in their last orders before the shutdown comes, and he's not really had time to come up with the answers, and so he runs around the audience on Zoom trying to get the answers. Right, me, how are you doing? All right, all right, so what is the fattest thing in the world? Well, the fattest thing in the world is an elephant. I'll give it a go, but I don't think that's going to go very well. All right, and the swiftest thing in the world, yeah, right, I get that one. All right, okay, mate, king. You want a beer? Dave Orridge, night ones. All right, okay. So, king, the fattest thing in the world is an elephant, and the swiftest thing in the world is a virus, I reckon, and the dearest thing in the world, the dearest thing in the world is a car full of gas and a totally empty road. No, out. And of course, it's the final person to give the answers is the cobbler, and he says,
Well, Your Majesty, first of all, I'd have to say it wasn't me that got the answers to the questions. It was my daughter, and my daughter, well, she said to me that the fattest thing in the world is the earth, because it's quite big, really, and the swiftest thing in the world, well, apparently that's thought. Because you know how you have one thought and it takes you in one way, and then you have another thought and it takes you another way, and another one, and it's quite confusing. And Your Majesty, I'm sure you know that even though the traditional answer would be to tell you that the dearest thing is sleep, well, nowadays I think we've worked out that the dearest thing is health.
Not bad. And you say it was your daughter who gave you the answers to these questions. I think your daughter ought to meet with my son. Yes, tell her to arrive tomorrow at noon. Tell her to arrive riding, but not riding, dressed, but not dressed, with a gift that is not a gift. If she's able to do that, she shall marry my son. And if she's unable to do that, I'll chop your head off, all right? Oh, no, it's even worse than ever before. Now you've got to arrive at the palace at noon tomorrow when you're riding but not riding, dressed but not dressed, with a gift that isn't a gift, and otherwise armed for the chop. But Father, that shouldn't be a problem. And so the following day, a few minutes before 12 noon, the prince is standing on the parapet, quite interested to catch an early glimpse of this strange shidduch that his father set up for him. He can see a commotion in the village leading onto the road that winds its way to the palace. And first of all, the prince, he sees a pair of bright eyes. And these eyes belong to a woman who is sitting astride a goat. She's sitting on the back of the goat, she's riding the goat, but her legs are longer than those of the goat and drag along the floor. She's riding, but she's not riding. And as this woman with the bright eyes comes closer, the prince, he sees that she's wrapped in a fisherman's net. Beneath the net, she's naked. She's dressed, but she's not dressed. And in her right hand, she holds a box. And the prince, he rushes down the stairs, flings open the palace gates and says, "You're riding but not riding, dressed but not dressed." And she says, "I have a gift for you." And the prince, he opens the box, and out flies a white dove. A gift that is not a gift. And the prince, he looks into the bright eyes of this woman who first appeared to him, riding but not riding, dressed but not dressed, with a gift that was not a gift. And he asks her to marry him. And she agrees. And they marry and live together happily ever after for another 10 years. And after 10 years, there's another story about them, which maybe we'll tell you at some other time. I was reminded of that story by Lindsay Bulk-Cantor from St. Louis. I got a Facebook message from her just a couple of days ago telling me that she'd heard this story from me about 15 years ago, but was reminded of it only a couple of days ago when her former sister-in-law died of coronavirus. And it was when she was watching the funeral through Zoom and realizing how in Hebrew funeral means, the Hebrew for funeral is levaya, is an accompaniment. And watching a funeral, watching an accompaniment with no company, when everyone was at home watching by video and the extended family was not at the funeral itself, it felt like it was a funeral that was not a funeral. and she was reminded of this story, which is why it felt right to tell it. And this is a kind of experiment. I'm telling this story together with my friend, genius videographer, photographer and artist Neil Mercer. If you liked it, and if you'd like me to tell another story, a story that maybe you've heard me tell before, or some other story that you'd like me to kind of invent or whatever, then just leave a comment and we'll come up with a new story next time round. But in the meantime, we dedicate this story to the memory of Dr. Deborah Price Nadler. Thanks.